I just want to warn you, there will be spoilers in this video about Roland and the game itself. It's been out for a while, so who cares, just keep watching. Thank you. Roland, the absolute Giga Chad, the Black Silence, the cutest maid in the game. The one that's probably gonna die off screen somewhere because of how absolutely cooked the world of Project Moon is. I've been addicted to the world that Library of Ruina takes place in for the past few months. Originally, I never planned on playing the game, only playing Limbus Company. But eventually I folded, and I'm glad I did. But one question kept popping into my head. Can you solo Library of Ruina? And if you could, who can pull it off? The obvious first choice is Roland, so let's see if our favorite grade 9 fixer is up to the task. Let's quickly go over the rules of the challenge, which is I can only use one character for the run, which is Roland. If I have to use a second character, the challenge is over, because this bitch could do it on his own, too. Yeah, there is no second rule. Everything else is fair game. Any passive skill, any ego, I would say any card, but we're locked in. So, let's start. We need to figure out what the best possible build could be for a solo fixer run. I'm not like the smartest player, so these builds could be horrendously trash, but let's hope that's not the case for my sanity. To start, I went with this. Mio's Prowess, Lone Fixer, and Resonance. I think I just wanted as much damage as I could put out. The time-tested strategy that is offense is the best defense. Mio's Prowess essentially powers up your skills when you're faster than your opponent. 1 point per 2 speed that you're higher, which is absolutely broken on Red Mist and less broken on anyone else. Lone Fixer is nice, which gives you 3 strength if no other allies are present, and finally Resonance, which is kinda like Mio's Prowess but only for melee pages. If you have a speed difference of 1 or greater, all dice get 2 extra power. You can also draw 2 extra cards. And so, we're off. Our first fight against these poor little souls. Care to guess how it went? Yeah, the rats got folded so fast. Which honestly is a good thing if we're gonna have any chance at soloing this hellscape of a game called Library of Ruina. Next on the chopping block were the Yun Office Fixers, which we all know didn't have the greatest ending. They suffered the same fate as the rats, but managed to survive more than 1 round. The Brotherhood of Iron also just honestly, I'm not sure if I can show this one on YouTube, but they didn't last that long either. Though their story flashed before my eyes as I was reminded of the reason why I kept playing the game even after I was losing my mind. But we're not there yet, so let's fight the Hook Office. Floor 1 was nothing to really talk about, and the second one had us in there long enough to where I can pick out an ego. For now, it doesn't really matter what I pick, so I just use one and end the fight. And just like that, Kennard was defeated, which to be honest is a good sign for things to come. I have hope that this is actually doable. Moving on to Urban Myth, which only has 2 invitations. The first one is Pierre's Bistro, the one that's got them cannibal chefs. You know, if Project Moon ever has a pop-up cafe, they should name it Pierre's Bistro. Actually, on second thought, maybe that's not the greatest idea. Regardless, they don't put up much of a fight either. But finally, we move on to one of my favorite early game fights, the Streetlight Office. It's because it gives us the Mars page, and I used that for a very long time. Like the past 5 minutes, we cleaned house with them. Funny enough, this was also the first time people were able to leave the library. But it's okay, I got what we came for. Lulu comes back for revenge. I don't know, this weird emotion called love or something. How crazy is that? We kill her. I'm waiting for the day there's an actual happy ending in the world Project Moon's made. And just like that, we're moving up in difficulty, as the urban legend invitations descend upon us. The first of which are the stray dogs. It was still easy, but it was the first time Roland took some damage. Though we still ended the fight, pulling out an ego and killing everything in our sight. After that, we head on down to the Molar office to pick up our Lord and Savior, Olga. I'm honestly running out of ways to write. Completely decimated and eradicated every fiber of even a semblance or a trace of a living being ever existing in the room. But yeah, now we get to the biggest part of urban legend, the Zwei office. I immediately gunned one down like they were a peaceful protester and beat the others. It was only the first of 3 acts, so I wasn't too scared. The next one had Sand come back to us after dragging Zwei into this mess. This is also where I started to spam Crystal Atelier, because its counterattack is super nice for a solo run like this. When we meet Sand again, I give him the good old American greeting of shooting him in the face, and since this is later into the rounds, I get access to my egos. And yeah. Not even close. The last part to this White Invitational is with Walter, who again really didn't put up too much of a fight. Our attacks were so girthy, it would just stun every enemy in 1 or 2 hits, which would just let us clean up the next round, usually by dropping an ego on their frontal lobe. With that, we have beaten Urban Legend, and now the game finally takes its gloves off, ties you down, and beats the shit out of you as you become an urban plague. But it's Roland we're talking about. Surely it's fine. It'll be fine, right guys? Luckily, the vertical difficulty hasn't hit us just yet, as we're able to quickly take out the Carnival Invitation, and even the Kurokuma Invitation. This is also where I discovered the power of Leer. This ego gift is kinda overpowered, doubling your damage. I'm actually not sure what the card buffs are called, so I'll just call it ego gifts. With Leer active, we kneecap the rest of the scene and move on. The full stop office was slightly annoying because of the range. It reminds me of when I used to run a backup full stop floor which would pump so many bullets into bosses or enemies, it would genuinely make me fear how much damage guns could do if they were legal in the city. But Roland took out the full stop team with relative ease. I also got this crown which I thought would look super cute on Roland, but then I realized this shit doesn't even show up on him. What the fuck, Project Moon, I can't drip my boy out. But the curtain calls as we meet with the musicians. Or meow. Honestly, this was the first time in the run Roland took some decent damage, not being able to properly clash with everything. Or it could just be me brainlessly throwing pages at the screen hoping it'll work out. Which honestly for now, it's working. Oh shit, it's Dawn Office time. Everyone's favorite, little fucking crybaby. I want to say Roland wiped the floor with them, but it was a little close for comfort since the damage that would land on Roland from not clashing would be more than, a tiny scratch, which builds up over time. But I want that Salvador card, so we push through. The Wedge Office. Phillip drags down another office, which is when it gets pretty fucked for us as a solo runner. There are just too many attacks going into Roland, while we kinda get beat up on trying to handle the rest of the Wedge Office. We do get a lot of cool cards at this point, and I remember the game getting addicting by around here. Unfortunately, I thought it was over after taking out Oliver, and I was wrong. I was way too low HP wise, and even if I can win out every single clash against this excuse of a human being, I don't know why I'm being so mean to him honestly. I might just be a hater. He's just a kid that got everyone around him killed, doesn't actually even feel bad about it, throws a pity party for himself, gets used and turned into something worse, that's then used to kill even more people. Anyway, we died from the Bernstein flicks, so I have to give our Roland some lifesteal built into his kit. The best way I know about doing that is Mind Hauler and Health Hauler, which recovers 2 health and stagger on a successful hit, which should be quite a bit. I toss out Meow's prowess thinking that resonance is better, and like I thought, we come out the first wave with a lot more health and stagger than last time. As expected, when we have more HP, we're easily able to overwhelm Phillip, almost getting to full HP ourselves. We pick up Leer and shoot a few bullet holes into him as he gets plot armored again. You'd think that's it for this era. But we can't forget about the Gaze Office, which I kinda did since I don't really think anyone was excited for these guys. I mean, especially since they don't really put up a fight either. So they'll probably stay forgotten. But from that, we go to everyone's favorite, Love Town. Holy shit was that fucked up. But this isn't a lore video. Should I make one though? Let me know. But yeah, this fight was just long. There were a lot of enemies, but thanks to our new passives, we were able to win out this battle of attrition. I did want to try to use Roland's special move Furioso, but for the life of me I can't track what pages I use, so I couldn't ever meet its requirements, which is to use every one of his pages at least one time. I wish it would tell me which ones I already did use, because I usually just spam Crystal Atelier, since its counterattack is just godsend, often clashing with more than one attack, and the gun move because guns are OP. I also like using Durandal since it gives us a strength buff, and the big Chungus fuck you bitch move since it looks cool. However, since Love Town was just a battle of HP and strength, it was quite simply elementary for our boy Roland, beating every invitation in Urban Plague and becoming an Urban Nightmare. It's time to have some fun, but before that, it would be really cool if you liked the video. If we hit 1,000 likes, I'll make that lore video on Library of Ruina, and if you subscribe, I'll bake you a cookie. As a smaller content creator, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. But back to being an Urban Nightmare. First up, being the sweepers. Now normally you can bring up to 4 librarians to a fight now, and it really shows with the amount of actions the enemies can take. It's kinda overwhelming as just Roland, but surprisingly Roland has a lot of low cost skills which really helps with clashing and spamming them to try and at least contest every attack. And because of how strong he is, at least compared to this point of the game, you will always be able to come out on top, especially when you ramp up your emotional level. I think that's what it's called, the thing that gives you more egos and ego gifts. Yeah, once you have access to those, stages become a breeze. It's just surviving until you get to that point. In the next wave we get Lear and a few more egos to just erase them. Same with the last wave, which was just more ego spamming. Luckily, even when we get low on light, those low cost skills help us not completely die. But once we take almost everyone out, there's only one left, which we kinda just beat up on. Next we have the index, which I love. Please Limbus Company, add an index ID. But for the first time, we have a very rough start. This lets me pick up Pulsation, which looks amazing, but we still lose. Wow, did not expect that. So I just think it's kinda unlucky, and then we lose again. And I'm like, hold up, huh? So I go back to see if I should tweak Roland's build, and I can't think of anything better for a solo run. So I brace myself and head back in. The only thing I can change is me, so I have to be smarter. I only clash against pages that would deal the most damage to me, while I focus on 2 enemies to try to stagger them, which would let me take less attacks. Eventually I do get them staggered, which was perfect timing since I just unlocked my ego. I full send it, letting me focus on the last 2 remaining index members, which for Roland was a breeze. That was a little scary, but nothing we couldn't handle. The She Association on the other hand was nothing to really write home about. The first floor was light work, and even the second was nothing too crazy. It was a very straightforward brawl, which is kinda satisfying to watch back on. I do remember someone saying that Eugen, the head of this branch of the Sea Association, I think, is the creator's favorite character. So that's fun. Roland was very close to getting staggered, but we made a fast recovery and ended the fight. The smoke gang was also very easy, as I focused down 2 of them, reducing the number of capable fighters, which in turn made the whole encounter really easy. Holy fuck, that sounded super nerdy, but you get the point. This was also the first time in the whole run that I got to pull off Furiosa, which looks amazing. Floor 2 gave us a bit more trouble. I'm actually not even sure what's damaging us, because I'm trying to blitz this challenge. Which also reminds me, how come the smoke mechanic isn't in Limbus Company? Either way, we kill everyone with a few egos and call it a day. Now the fucking 8 o'clock circus. Fuck my life. Because I wasn't ready for it. Unfortunately, you go into this fight with nothing, so you can't even build up any egos, ego gifts, or multiple attacks, so I can only clash with so many things. But we've been doing that all the time, so why is this any different? Because for some fucking reason, these animals hit like a truck. Each of them have like 3 attacks, and they do so much damage. So I can barely survive, let alone not get staggered. Then I have to deal with this guy's stupid ass mechanic, which would only add more things on the field to deal with. Suffice it to say, I lost a few minutes to this. It was closer to an hour to be honest. I had to take a break and get off the game. I needed to clear my head and get some fresh air. So the next day I sat down to continue the run, dreaming that this may be the end. But surely it couldn't, right? This clown fuck can't be the thing that stops us from finishing. And I was right. Somehow on my first try back, we kinda just win. It was going as it normally does, Roland getting beat up, getting to really low HP. But then I noticed I managed to stun 2 of the animals, which means we could focus on the clown and the monkey. Even though we traded hits, it was enough for us to build up more resources and unlock our egos, and ego gifts. This might have been the slowest I played since I didn't want to mess it up. Unleashing an ego and clashing with the remaining non-staggered enemies worked out as I kinda just did it again, using 2 more egos this time. Somehow we staggered the main clown too, which lets us just beat up on him to win the round. Holy fuck, we made it. But as we were riding our highs, we entered the crying child fight. Now this fight just locks a librarian down forever. There's no getting around it. No passive that I could find that would make us immune to it. Unless I missed it over the hundreds of them, which may be the case. But no matter what I tried, we would always lose. So I decided to come back to this fight and move on for now, instead of just ending the run here. The puppet fight was very, very easy, thankfully. The first floor was kinda just fodder, which lets us build up our sanity level, emotional level thing, and get more light and turns. The second floor was more of the same thing, but a bit stronger. This was fixed when we picked up Lear and continued to nuke them off the planet. Floor 3 with the boss was pretty simple too, since Roland's forte are battles of attrition, continuously clashing and staggering enemies, while finishing them off with egos. That was very easy. Which is when the warp invitation decided it was time to bend me over and spank the fuck out of me, because what the fuck is this power jump? It was basically abuse, since it felt like I was just outnumbered. Before, the power level was low enough where even if Roland would always get hit, he could heal and recover or take them out fast enough where he would always come out on top. But now he was just taking too much chip damage. I tried moving up to the Star of the City level, but ran into the same problem. The crying bitches and the warp people were roadblocks I couldn't bring myself to get over. So just like the city, we don't get a satisfying ending to the run. Can Roland solo all of Library of Ruina? I don't think so. Maybe I was the problem. I do want to know if there was a better build or strategy that may let Roland complete this run, so feel free to leave a comment. I will read all of them. But for now, this is where this chapter ends. If you want to see more Limbus or Ruina content, please leave a like. Maybe I'll do a run with the Red Mist or that lore video. If you subscribe, I think you're cute. And until next time, I hope to see you there.